Rank the gods of my mangas based on thirst. Because we know a lot about the gods on the top, we're going to start at the bottom with Confero, the spirit of death and wind. There's a reason fans call him the spirit of the goon. Confero is so addicted to stories and the goon game that he literally offsets part of his work to Reaper, goddess of death. Technically, the way it works is you have a spirit that sits above a god. And yet Confero is like, no, I gotta read my books. You go ahead and do the majority of the work. He literally does, I think, 20% of the whole souls going into the afterlife judgment and like 10% of bringing souls in. Like, let me give you an example of how deep into the goon game this man is. This is Necropolitan, and this is Yandere. They are literally undead he created, undead waifus, just to goon the game some more. To be fair, he doesn't, splat, splurt the undead. He's just a big fan of the deres. That's why one of them is a yandere and the other one is, baka. I think that's called a tsundere. Let's move on to the Lovecraftian mask-wearing space snake Astral, god of stars. So they have no sex drive. They have no desire to reproduce. And most importantly, they don't reproduce through traditional means, such as gooning, like we Mewtwo. So how Astral reproduces is Astral will go into the heart of a star and then impregnate the core via replacing their own heart in the core. And you may be thinking, wow, so they have to kill themselves in order to make another one. No, them taking out their heart does not kill them. They just place their heart there in the heart of the sun, and then it basically impregnates the sun, and the baby will use the energy from the sun in order to basically grow and eventually become a new Astral. Next up, let's talk about Homer, god of honor. We know that he goons a little bit because he's got enough riz to have a kid. That's right, my main character of the Night of Slaughter series, Veronica, is his daughter. He absolutely bagged this baddie, Lady Elysia. But at least we know he is a respectable gooner because they have a pretty healthy marriage for the most part. Well, I mean, at least for the most part, because working for your husband doesn't always mean the best result. But I mean, she buys her daughter a $500,000 dress for her birthday, her 8th birthday, so it can't be that upsetting. Well, before we move on to Tarma, the god of pride, there is absolutely something you need to know about how some of the gods operate. Some of the gods do not view relationships in terms of Homer, where he wants a loving family. A lot of the gods view sex and reproduction as a way of getting a demigod. A demigod is effectively a half-mortal, half-god, which is a tool of war, because the gods are in a stalemate right now. So when we start talking about gods being thirsty and stuff like that, a lot of times they're not even really that thirsty. They're doing it so they can get a new tool for war, a child of war. They can use that tool to then come out on top on the divine stalemate. Gods like Tarma use something called a royal concubine. Well, that's not technically right because Tarma doesn't use royal concubines like Cypher and Desolation, which are full or part-time concubines of the god whose sole responsibility is to basically try to either impregnate them or get pregnant. But the situation for Tarma is he sends soldiers out to look for the most bangable women in the entire divine city, and then every day he does a rotation. And the rotation is kind of crazy because he will have sex morning, afternoon, evening, and before he goes to bed. 4 times with 6 women each day. And he does not sleep with these women twice. So he comes, gives them the baby batter, if you know what I mean, puts them in a detention center where they are monitored. They are given food, they are given shelter, they are given low-stress jobs, and they are monitored up to the point that it is determined that they are not pregnant. To which point they're sent back to their normal workstations where they go about their day and the next rotation of women come in. You may be thinking, wow, so these women get abducted, go sleep with their god, which to them is viewed as an honor, and then get made to work. The work that they do here is a hell of a lot better than the slave labor that they do out there. Because in Tarma society, you are one of 2 things. You are either a slave or you are a soldier. That's it. That's the only 2 options you got. So to get on concubine duty for a little couple weeks is easy work. Next on our list is Stroke, the god of summer seasons, who has a snake wife. So he's banging the Laussi. But if you like the lore, go ahead and grab a copy of The Devil's Deal or Night of Slaughter, where all this lore takes place.